Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Check doing a video review for DMG versus SCC. This is a tournament round played on Villa. So I haven't had the opportunity to play with most of you guys. So what I'm going to do with this video review is I'm going to communicate some basic things and foundational knowledge that I'm sure most of you are aware. But since I hadn't had a chance to play with you, I don't want you to miss out on that. So I'm going to go through that pretty quick, just so you guys all have good perspective. Looking forward to working with you guys here in the future. So as I go through, I'm very excited to do this review. One of the things I'm going to talk about is I suspect I'm going to see a lot of great plays and a lot of opportunities. I'm going to give a few shout outs and probably provide a few critiques. I do all that to hope to change your perspective and have you reconsider a few things that you may not have thought about, but to increase your capabilities as individual players, overall as a team. So please don't take my critiques personally. It's just my perspective playing the game. So one thing you should know about me is I view this game a little differently than other people. I will tell you that I have what I call the intangibles, what really are tangible in game, but I call them the key difference makers that no one thinks about. It's space, right, in form of real estate and angles. Who controls the most space on the map? The team that controls the most space controls the terms of engagement. That's huge. Space is number one. 2, utility. Team that spends their utility wisely and or has the utility to spend is at an advantage, right? And last but not least, number 3 is time. So when you look at this game, if you're an attacker, right now you guys are, you want to ensure that you acquire the right amount of space using the right amount of utility during the right amount of time frame. And if you can do that, you control a big portion of this game and you can win most rounds. And the defenders want to do the exact opposite. They want to make sure that when you control space, that you waste more time and utility than that space is worth, right? Or vice versa. You can take something really quickly, but you're going to have to it's not going to be a lot of space. You're going to have to use a lot of utility. Those are things to keep in mind. So when you're looking at, my perspective on Siege, it's team deathmatch - bomb. Emphasis on team deathmatch first, right? When in doubt, frag out. But with that being said, the bomb part and the tactics of this game is really about how you leverage and take control of space using time and utility. Those are the 3 things that are those intangibles and how you leverage those accordingly and punish the team for making unwise decisions, or punish the opposing team for making unwise decisions of how they make mistakes to give those things to you at lower value than what they're worth. That is something you should think about. All right. I think that covers the intro. We're already at 5 minutes in. We haven't even got to the first round. Let's go. So I'm going to speed up between rounds. I know that this is a tournament game, so I won't have comms. So I'm going to assume that you guys have great comms. I'm looking forward to a screen where I can hear the comms and hear some of the IGL in real time. I'm going to skip ahead. So first thing, talking about your bans. All right, you guys banned. Oh, let me back it up a little bit. I'll talk about it next round. No big deal. All right, so you guys are going to push. This is a typical setup. I like the notes on the Google Docs. This is some good work, Pin, by the way. I appreciate you taking the time to learn the controls for the cams. I really like how you have this overall spectator view. This provides the greatest insight from a video review perspective. What I will say on site, this is one of the stronger sites on game. So they're doing the site prep right now. The reason this is one of the stronger sites in the game in general and just not in Villa is because there's very little external influence on these sites. They're completely internal. No windows that look into sites. All right, key defender strategy here. How you should hold a site, Siege 101. Someone should control Alpha and or play on Alpha depending upon the site. Someone control and play on Bravo. And you need a control on what I call a connector. So someone should play connector and or control. In this case, that's the vault. And someone can control what I call the cutoff. What is the cutoff? The cutoff is the key part of the map that if you control it, you cut off most of the rotates into a site. Where is the cutoff on this particular, in regards to these particular sites? It's right here on 90. And what do you mean by that? Well, you got a guy on 90, right? You control the rotate into bar door. You control the rotate up from red stairs. You control anyone trying to rotate from Astro stairs because you control red landing. In addition to that, if you open that wall, you have a passive angle on connector between sites. And then if there's any kind of connector holes here in this wall, you control it from that wall too. So if you open Vault Wall and you have a guy on 90, guess what? You control all the rotates between Alpha and Bravo, with the exception of if anybody, this door right here and that stairs. So you have a majority of the rotates cut off with this position. That's the cutoff. So when you hear me say cutoff, that's what I mean. It's the spot on that particular map for those sites that control the rotations. All right. So typical setup, when you play one on Alpha, one on Bravo, and one on Connector, you want them to have crossfire. What is crossfire? It is when you are allowed to have two angles from two different directions on the same entry points, which are usually doors or rotates onto site. So for example, the guy on Bravo's got an angle on this door, an angle on this door, an angle on this door, and then if you have the right rotate, he can also have an angle on Alpha door. The guy in bar, he's got an angle on Alpha door. He can be placed behind the bar. He's got an angle on this door, right? And he's got an angle on this site rotate. So these guys have a good crossfire on their opposing doors. The guy in Connector's got angle on this door, an angle on this door. He can even push up and then play a kind of a shallow passive angle on this door in Bravo. So that's how you want to think about this. You want to have anchors which have crossfires on all their doors, and they need to be positioned in those positions accordingly. This guy that's going to play cutoff, which is usually use your fourth guy, your lurker, which is like a Jaeger. It's going to play more of a passive anchor role, but just slightly off site. That guy is going to have an angle on this door and an angle on this door passively by controlling red stairs, right? So, and he controls the cutoff to also protect this wall. So this guy also has crossfire on the two external doors. So that's just how this site should be played. That's the mindset you should have as a defender when you go to defend sites. Just a heads up. We'll talk about that on every site. All right, guys, just to give you a heads up, I'm going to speed this up a little bit in between rounds just to kind of make the VOD a little shorter. And so I'm not going to comment on everything I see. I usually, when I focus on team VODs like this, it's primarily comments on team dynamics and individual. So less on individuals' skill and capability and more about mindsets of key positions that you need to have when you play these roles. All right, so one thing I'll say is that you guys should always move in pairs, minimum of 2, sometimes 3. So 3-2 is an ideal combo. When you're talking about this particular site, there's 3 stages in attack. One is, I call it map control, also known as roam clear, making sure that you control the flanks. Number 2, stage 2 is called prep and sight. Prep and sight involves 2 stages, technically sometimes 3. It's taking control of the cutoff, opening up the hard breach angles you need to have long angles onto site so you can leverage your competitive advantage of those attacking ACOGs and force the defenders to have to take long range gunfights. And third stage is the vertical gameplay, which is prep and sight. So what does that mean? That means in this particular scenario, what you want to do is when you control your flanks and you control 90, that's stage 1 of prepping, right? Then you open this wall, you have some long angles into sight, and then you use your vertical gameplay, which is your 2 tangos, your entries, usually an Ash, a Buck, or an Ash and a Jackal. One of them that has, capability to shoot up and break the floor to then start bombarding the usual camping spots, making these anchors feel very uncomfortable and have to rotate. And when they rotate, guess what? They're probably going to rotate into your lines of fire or have to take long angle gunfights, which isn't going to be in their ideal advantage, and they're probably going to lose. Then after that, you get to stage 3, which is forcibly controlling one site, playing the diffuser, and then winning the round. That's pretty much how, the art of attack broken down in 3 phases. Okay, so this is some high angle play. So Monty has the diffuser. There's nothing wrong with that. I encourage you not to have Monty have the diffuser, and here's why, right? Monty's kind of like a human drone. When he walks in, he can actually use his shield in an extended position to give calls out to whoever has the diffuser to make plays and plant, and tell them to get off the diffuser when someone's pushing them. Also, when you see a Monty fully extended, you have to respect him in a corner, right? If you push the guy diffusing and there's a Monty there, that Monty retracts his shield and gets ready to ADS, you got to kind of have to worry about that, right? That Monty forces respect from an attacker. So if you have two people rolling with Monty, it makes playing against a Monty very challenging, because the moment you don't respect Monty and you go for the frag behind him, Monty can take you out, right? And or push you into an undesirable position. Something to keep in mind in regards to this, ultimately what you want to do is you want your attackers to use their drones in the prep phase to stick them on transition points. What are transition points, you ask? They're kind of like choke points. They're key points to the map where you, usually around stairwells, where you can gain a lot of game information by just having a drone. 90 is a good transition point because you can see both sides, but it's high risk because there's always someone playing 90. In this scenario, your stairwells would be really good transition point drones, because if the entry fragger dies, which, by the way, the entry fragger should be the first to die. They're entering the building first, right? And they're making trades to the roamers. So ideally, if anyone dies first, it should be your entry fragger trading off for one or more roamers. Their drones are still in good spots, flank watches to make calls late in the game if anyone tries any kind of shenanigans with rotating, like dropping a hatch or something. With that being said, your support drones, you want them to come in and you want them to passively look at site. What is passively? Don't scan the bomb, don't scan the guys on site. Y'all know that. But what you want to do is get a feel for what walls are reinforced, what walls aren't reinforced, and then communicate that to your IGL so you can determine which angles you guys have or which mistakes they made with their site setup that you can use to your advantage. Then those drones from the support players will rotate back to the entry point where the entry fragger is going to enter. And then as soon as the entry fragger is getting ready to enter, support player jumps back on their drone and says, I got you, and they drone you in. And as that drone clears the room, the entry fragger is behind the drone. The idea is the entry fragger should trade the drone for a kill, because if the roamer kills the drone, the entry fragger should be on the roamer and killing the roamer. But also, the entry fragger is going to take that real estate and that space control as soon as it's given to them. So they give you space and it's really clear. You want to be right behind that drone and take that space, because they're giving it to you for free, right? No utility, they're not contesting it, take it. All right, that's the general concept of how to attack. We'll go into some details here in regards to the team dynamics being played out. So ideally, you want two other people with Monty. Here they are. Those are the two that you want. Monty's right now overextended on site. What I would say is that if Monty didn't have the diffuser, he could hold a passive angle on Bravo, and then you guys could probably get a plant down real quick. Got a high risk roam by IQ. So, real quick. All right, just a quick critique. You guys had this real estate and you didn't. You hesitated to seize it. So once you gave this, it's okay for the Monty to plant here. I actually like that play since he's got the diffuser, In a perfect world, maybe he doesn't. But since he's got it, he does the reverse plant. You both are watching the same angle on this door. Just one of you rotates in here and then, or holds here and holds a little harder angle on the rotate, right? So one of you covers the rotate, one of you covers the vault passively. That's a much better play. And there you go. You make the adjustment there. Maybe I spoke a little too soon. All right, so we're going to review that real quick. What happened there, guys, is that you clearly saw that they didn't have someone playing Bravo. And this is why you should always have someone on Bravo, especially at the 2:30 mark, just to be able to make this call. They didn't. You took advantage of this, but you were slightly out of position with your other players. So what I mean by that is that the IQ was slightly out of position. You only have 4, so you have 1 disconnect. That's just a tough round. If you had 1 more, this is probably going to be a different round. And I was wondering where their 5th guy was. Now, looking at the side, I see that you just had 1 DQ. That's unfortunate, guys. It happens. All right, we'll jump to round 2. Okay, so let's talk about the bans since I skipped them. Thatcher, Nomad, Mira, Echo. All right, your tier 1 ban operators on defense. Let's talk about the defensive bans first. I think from a tier 1 perspective, and tier 1 being the best operators to ban because they provide the most utility and competitive advantage on defense. Mira, Maestro, Echo, in no particular order. It depends upon the map and the site, but those 3 are very strong. Definitely tier 1 every day of the week. Now, some other strong suggestions would be, depending upon your playstyle, the Valkyrie. Just because Valkyrie provides a lot of intel with her black eyes. Also, she is notorious from diamond players to be what I call the trade-off queen. And what I mean by that is, think of it like this. If you don't want to deal with the run-out game, ban the Valkyrie. Because Valkyries, what they're going to do, they're going to throw their utility down, and then they're going to run out and try to trade themselves off for an operator that hasn't had a chance to use their utility. So for example, if a Valkyrie runs out after she placed her Evil Eyes in the prep phase, picks off the Thermite, and you pick off the Valkyrie, okay, it's a 4v4 tie game, right? I'm not so sure, guys, because number one, that Thermite died and didn't get a chance to use his flashbangs and his charges. So from a utility perspective, the defenders are winning. They're actually winning in the intangibles. And also, if you lose your hard breach and the IGL on the offense has got to like take another 25 seconds to stutter out another plan, not only are you winning in the utility, you're winning in time. So if you don't like that style of gameplay, I would say, you don't want to run an IQ all the time, ban the Valk. She's always a strong contender. All right, now on offense, your offensive bans are going to be whether you play defense or offense first, right? And keep that in perspective. I'm just talking in general. Your bans are going to be heavy of whether you drew the offensive or the defensive, the orange or the blue first. So in the situation where you're defending, I'll encourage you, regardless of defending or attack, I like to ban the Nomad. I think she's one of the most OP operators in the game because from a run out perspective, it's like she has 3 claymores, right? You can't run out on a Nomad if she plays on the windows because she's got you dead to rights almost in every run out spot. In addition to that, if she doesn't use them to play the windows and she uses them inside in the map, above doors, her air jabs, above a door to cover a flank, what are you going to do about it? I mean, it just completely takes that space away from you long term. And unless you have an impact or C4 or you got a well-placed Evil Eye, you're in trouble, man. You're not going to get that space back easily. So definitely hinders flanking or very aggressive plays in the mid game. So that's why I'm always a fan to ban the Nomad. Thatcher's a good ban as well. I also think that usually in this scenario, you want to ban hard breaches and or flex operators. So all your hard breaches potentially could be a good ban depending upon the site. Also, your flex operators being Capital, Gridlock, Nomad, depending upon the map. So there are a few maps where Nomad's not that great on, and I think that you don't have to ban her. It's actually maybe better that you don't, but for more than likely, most of the competitive maps, I'm always biased, man. I like Nomad, I like her backstory, I like, a lot of things about her, I just don't like her ability. I don't like to play against it, so I'm a little biased, but that's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think, man. Hit me back with some Discord messages. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Now, if you guys run a Nomad main, that's different, right? So that's another thing. As a team, determine who your mains are going to be, and then come to a consensus of, someone's main versus team dynamics and what's best. I'm going to speed this up a little bit as we get going, because we're already at the 18-minute mark, and we're at 9 minutes of gameplay. So let's... All right. Round 2 on attack and trophy. I'm not going to talk about their defense setup. I'll talk about some mistakes they make and how you should punish them for it real time. But when you guys play defense, I'll talk about setup. Okay, I don't see any drones on the study side, but as soon as you get a drone over there and you saw that the study walls are reinforced, that's a telltale sign that they're going to play a Jaeger. They're going to hold this. And that's something that you guys, need to communicate early. You guys are all pushing together as a team, ideally 3 and 2, right? 2 and 3 kind of at 90-degree angles is what you want to do. And what I mean when I say at 90-degree angles is that if you have a team breach here and going to contest, it's always good to maybe have 2 people come over here on the side or the flank to secure the flank for those 3. That way, if anyone tries to contest you individually, you have an automatic easy pinch. But also, if these 3, the Monty is like a broom, right? He's going to push people out of the room as soon as he walks in. And you can push these roamers out into these line of sights towards 90. And if you got someone that's owned 90, it's an easy pick off with an ACOG, right? You're going to push the roamer into a line of sight of another entry fragger or support fragger and take him out real quick. Okay, so you guys have drummed this out real quick. I encourage you to take control of space with a sense of urgency, right? real estate in this game or space can change very quickly depending upon where the defenders are positioned. And if they're out of position and they're giving you space, take it, and you don't give it back to them, right? That's the vision, is that you slowly, systematically control most of the map, and you force the defenders into tiny areas where they have to play, and they're uncomfortable. All right, so right here, I like the idea of having the flank watch. You're slightly overextended. So in this situation, the Jackal's pushed out just a little too far. So at the door, you have a gunfight, right? But if you're out here and you get fragged off, there's no one there to refrag you. There's no potential for a refrag to take place, and that's going to be a tough. That's just another one-on-one gunfight, and you don't want to put yourself in one-on-one gunfights as an attacker. As an attacker, you want to make sure that you have greater than equal chances. You actually have chances in your favor to win every engagement. And so you want to push the roamers, 2v1, 3v1, 3 attackers versus 1 defender. And maybe the outcome is that the defender trades off 1 for 1, right? But you want to make sure that you definitely take out that roamer and they don't get a free pick, and they're not punished for it. Think of it like this. The goal of the defenders is to go 1 for 1. If they go 1 for 1 and the diffuser doesn't get planted, they win. Right? So for 1-for-1 trades for defenders is not necessarily a bad thing, especially if they can do it at the right, and they can do it and take utility and time and space back in their favor. That's a great thing. They'll do those 1-for-1 trades all day. As attackers, what your mindset should be moving in is that you really shouldn't be with a mindset of going 1-for-1. Yes, it's okay if you push a roamer and you trade the roamer off for one of your entry fraggers. That's just the nature of doing business. But you should be trading, maybe in an ideal situation, trading 2 of the roamers off for one of your entry fraggers. That's what you want. You want to get the man advantage very quickly, because the defenders only have to go 1 for 1. You got to have the man advantage. And the reason you have to have the man advantage is because you got to plant the diffuser. And if it's a 2v2 and it's 10 seconds left and you guys got to plant the diffusers attackers, you really only got 1 gun. One dude's got to have his hand on the diffuser. You got a 1 gun v2 gun situation there at the very end, and that's not an ideal situation. That is a definite tactical advantage for the defenders. So you got to keep that in mind. Going 1 for 1 as an attacker is not what you want. You want to sweep them and control the terms of engagement. Good refrag, though, by the Habana on the Mozzie. Good refrag. Way to do it. That's exactly what you want. As soon as someone dies, go ahead and make the refrag. Okay, so this is a very one-dimensional push right now. There's 2 of you guys. You're playing together. That's right. That's the good call. What I would say is you spend a lot of time and resources chasing this roamer around here. That has absolutely nothing to do with sight. That's not a bad thing because you're trying to frag this guy out. But you're overextended now, and it's going to be tough to win that 3v1, 3v2. All right. So based upon, I had an opportunity to talk with Berg before I did this VOD review, and he was talking about how the attacking strats are probably a big opportunity for the team on Villa. And what I will say is, I have some strats that we can run with. I think that'll clear a lot of this up. I like the mechanics that I'm seeing here, man. The droning for the entry fraggers, the team pushing together in 3- and 2-man squads for the most part on their initial pushes. Those are good things, and that's something you definitely want to do. And I think it's just a matter of kind of cleaning up what that unified vision should be and the kind of intel that should be communicated in the prep phase. So ideally, in a situation like this, you guys want to have a plan for Bravo. You want to have a plan for Alpha, but you don't want to commit to a plan until after the prep phase. You want to use your drones to see which side has more utility and which side's the weak side, and then which side has, greater weaknesses and less utility. And then you want to push that side, right? But you want to push it with a sense of urgency and violence force of action. What I mean by that is, you think of it like this. Once the attackers or the defenders know which side you're going to push, you don't want to give them the opportunity or the time to be able to rotate their shields and rotate their smoke and stuff like that to that side. You don't want them to be able to throw any more manpower against you. So what you want to do is, I'm going to pause it so I don't miss any more gameplay. when you go to prep site, you want to prep site really fast, and before you reveal which side you're pushing, you want to make sure that you're in position to push it, so that you say, okay guys, we're about to prep alpha for a breach in plant. You breach alpha very quickly with everything you got, you drop your utility on it, and then you plant, and you don't give the defenders an opportunity to rotate. When you guys hesitate on a diffuse, plant, that gives them more time and a capability to rotate resources, rotate utility, and make your life more complicated. So that's all that boils down to. So we look like we're going to 4-man entry. Monty's going in first with a drone. Good dynamics there. Lost to the Mozzie. Mozzie got 2 right there. All right, in that scenario, we got some volume. Here we go.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
I'm going to take a second peek at this, man. I don't know quite what to think about that Mozzie attack, because I don't know where the drone was. I'm going to take another look. Ideally, I think you should have 2 drones plus the Monty. So your Monty in this play is your flex, right? He's your flex. I hate to say it. You think of him as a support, but really he's your flex. He's your flex because he's going to get into gunfights and he's going to support the 2 entry fraggers. So your flex is going to be the player that's going to support the plant and support your entry fraggers. That's what a flex is. An example would be Capital, right? He's got the smoke on the fire for the plant, but he's also got that machine gun and he can die, right? Like if he dies, it's not as critical as losing a hard breach, right? So he's going to work with your entry fraggers to frag out. So your Monty in this situation, in a lot of ways, should be like your flex. And I think the drone went down the stairs here. So what's important from a transition point, I talked about drones on transition points. You guys have a guy spawn over here near stables, throw the drone up and drone in here. One of your support drones could be on this side, droning kind of the 90, the cutoff position for these 2 sites to see if anyone's playing it and give that call. That's something I'd encourage. Just looks like it's unfortunate timing. The drone didn't quite have the audio cues for a player on this site, and it just caught the jack on the Ash off guard. Another thing you can do is when Monty pushes in, he can hold this angle if he's not sure. And then, because once you open this door, you have an angle onto this rotate, right? So one gun focuses on this, the Monty goes in, that gun then goes in behind him, and you can get the whole team in when protecting the flank. The idea being is that the Monty covers this door as soon as the door is open, right? Door is open, you have your ACOG pointing it here, Monty walks in, takes the flank control, whole team moves in, and now Monty is watching the back of everybody while everyone's pushing in. Monty's kind of being like a mobile gridlock or mobile nomad. A little different than the aggressive Monty. It's more of a passive Monty style. I've definitely seen it in comp when a team wants to move quickly through to clear sight quickly to push, and it works quite well if done correctly.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
All right, so you guys had some good injury dynamics, just slightly poor timing. And what happens is it looks like once you guys get in, you get a little excited, you get overextended, and your attackers, your characters are slightly out of position. So that's something I would encourage you to think about. From your positioning standpoint, one of the things you should be thinking about is, if I were to die now, is someone in position to refrag me? Are they within a room, right? Is someone close enough? And if the answer is no, is the risk I'm taking worth it? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And that's kind of the game sense point of the game, right? Like, is this risk, if I get away with this, is this going to be game changing? And number one, do I need to take the risk? So if you have equal chances, you may not need to take the risk. If you're losing, taking the risk is probably the best play, in my opinion. All right, they're back on Bar Gaming. So the way you guys want to push this site, real quick, give you a heads up, is we talked about it at a high level. You want to control 90, control the cutoff. Once you control the cutoff, depending upon where the utility and position is, you either push into office and take control of Alpha, push into office, take control of, either Bravo Aviation or Alpha and Bar. Doesn't really matter. They both are great sites to push into, but the key here is before you push, you have to control this cutoff to prevent any kind of retake of site. obviously you control the cutoff, then you open vault wall. You take control of all the rotations between sites at that point. Ideally, you'll have 2 players playing this, and then 3 will be your primary push into site. Okay, so a mistake they made that you may not be aware of, and you probably can't tell. I'm looking at their ops. They probably have a Mozzie on this door, so you can't drone out the floor up. But they clearly don't have anyone playing Bravo. Bravo's their weak side, and I suspect you can't get a drone in to determine that, right? So what I will say though is they're giving you Office right now free, and you guys should be able to drone Office hopefully, and take a look and say, "All right, this is good." So based upon that, you guys should take control of Office real quick because that's the first step. All right, I like this play. You guys pushing it together. What I will say here is that the Monty has overextended himself just a little bit. So when the Monty's before he crosses the bar door, Monty is in a strong position because he can't be flanked. Right? You guys control red stairs. You pseudo control Office study. There's no way this Monty's in danger. But now that he's past the bar door, he can be easily flanked and pinched, and that's not an ideal thing. You've overextended your position, and now it's become much weaker. Good trade, good trade. Okay, so you guys are droning it. I can't hear comms, but a drone got into Alpha and said, probably should have said, hey guys, Alpha's clear. At that point, when you had control of the study, rotate in, man. Open that Alpha wall. Take control of some cross angles here. Seize that opportunity to really make their life challenging on this site. Okay, so you guys rotating around and trying to make a flank from behind, a play from behind. Not an ideal situation because it's taking you way too much time to do so, right? I think that in the prep phase, if you were to solve this drone, you guys were in position to kind of take control of bar and to really fight it out in bar and to have fighting chances here. But by rotating behind, clearly you control a lot of real estate now, but it took you way too much time. And I don't think you're going to have enough time to make a meaningful play on the diffuser and or on site. Right, and that bandit understood that. He just needed to survive, right? That's exactly what he did. So in that scenario, when you had control of office and you had the Habana, man, hold those office angles, let the Habana rotate in, open up bar wall, open up a rotate. Doesn't mean you have to stay in office the whole game, but that clearly breaks up the site, makes it a little more makes it a little more dynamic, right? Now the defenders really got to think about what they're going to do in regards to getting pushed. But hey, that's really easy to do when you're in spectator mode. That's a really hard call to make real time in game. And that's the advantage of being able to keep your comms very concise and then be able to communicate the opportunities or the mistakes that you see defenders make while you're droning, right? So when you're droning, you're not just droning for you're droning for you and your IGL and the team. You're making these calls, hey, bro, they forgot to reinforce this. Is it worth getting this angle open to do it? And the answer, and maybe it is sometimes, maybe it's not, but present that option to the team so everybody knows how they can punish other teams, especially especially as you get towards the late game there. All right, you guys are going to attack again. The way I would attack this, we'll get back to a cam. I'll explain it real quick. Up one floor. And yo, Pin on the cams, man. I always got to give a shout out to Pin. Pin, you're doing some great jobs on leveraging these cams. I really like this viewpoint. Keep up the good work, man. Although if you can get sound, I don't know if I like not having the sound. I think I'd like to have the sound so I know when you guys pre-fire don't versus not pre-fire. That'd be kind of cool, but it's kind of quieting, right? To be able to just hear my voice. So one of the things I'm noticing, you guys aren't getting spawn peek. That's really good. You know, having a good routine to get out of sight without getting spawn peek. That's exactly what you want in comp. Some teams do spawn peek. They'll spawn peek once a game usually, just for the heck of it, right? To mess you up and keep you on your toes. So a lot of teams won't do it very often, but there's a few out there. They'll spawn peek once a game and they'll be very aggressive. All right, the way you want to push this site, statue trophy. There's two different ways, right? You can push from Astro and 90, or you can push Astro and bedroom. So when I say 90, what I really mean is 90 and aviation bar, this side of the map, right? You're either coming in this way and this way, or you're coming in this way and this way. You either have to have a crossfire or a 90. Usually what I'd recommend is come in, you want to play with a thermite. Habana's okay. You play with a hard breacher, ideally Habana or thermite. Jump into closet, open up this wall right here in the central panel. Reason the central panel is this gives you window control from right here from the middle of closet. You control all the way to aviation door, bathroom aviation door. This protects the flank. Opening this wall right here protects your flank into master bedroom. Someone jumps in, opens this up, someone plays it with an ACOG. Our breach rotates around through master bedroom. Now you can open this wall right here and or this wall, and this wall takes out. So the middle one opens up kind of this hiding spot behind site, right? This one on the right side opens up the connector between sites. You open up this wall right here next to the play button, you have a line of sight from the window all the way pretty close. Maybe not from the window. I have to double check that perspective, but you got a sight from right here in master bedroom all the way across into trophy. Huge advantage. You cut off all rotates into statue from this side of the map. They can't come through master / bathroom. They can't come through this connector. The only way into statue is to come through red stairs. All right. So first, you got to think about it as systematically eliminating space on site. So control the bathroom, then control this part of statue, and then if you control aviation in this sense is, I would say, practically your cutoff position. All right, and what I mean by that is that if you control aviation, I hesitated to say that because it's not as strong as a cutoff as like 90 stairs was in the previous example. But if you control aviation, you got the angle onto trophy door, right? Can't go into trophy. You got this whole door covered. You got aviation stairs covered. You got master bedroom flank covered. And then you got this angle over here to this door. Aviation controls every rotation except red stairs, right? This is the only one that's not. And even then, you could argue red stairs is covered because you could, if this is open, you can cover the bottom red stairs, but you're not covering the top red landing. So aviation is this is a critical part of the map that you want to control to have a successful plant on either Alpha or Bravo. So your attention should be prep and sight, and part of prep and sight is taking control of astronomy. Did I call it aviation? I mean astronomy. Astronomy here. That's the play. And so the way you would control astronomy is you got an external window here that you can leverage, stairs coming up, and obviously you can push through the bathroom. So the way this works, to go into more detail, what you would do is you would open up this angle here just to make sure that no one can rotate from astronomy into bathroom. Get someone on the window so you can make sure they don't rotate from astronomy through this rotate and or a connector rotate here. and then you have someone come up astronomy stairs with the throwables, you can essentially burn the ADS and then frag this person out behind Astro Desk without having to do a whole lot. Thing is once you burn the ADOS and you hear this person starting to run away, your guy in bathroom and your guy on window peek the rotates and take him off mid-transition. Usually this is, I'll call it an easy kill. This individual here, depending upon the utility that they have, has to time their retreat very well or they end up dying. All right, guys, so when the Thatcher's banned, I encourage you always to bring the Thermite Maverick, especially if you know you're going to open a hard wall. Thermite and Maverick can open up almost any hard wall in the game, and the way they do that is that Maverick puts a little hole in the top. Thermite uses his flashbangs to burn the ADS. Maverick then uses his grenade to throw through the hole and take out the wall denial. And then you can also use his second frag to deny any kind of bandit tricking to get the wall open. Nice play, Krim. All right, let's go back and kind of break this down. All right, so right here, if you open up this rotate like I talked about, the guys in Closet and Master can automatically support this Habana. And the IQ in Kitchen. It's a good pick right there. It's refragged. So a great show of mechanical skill by Krim. Taking out the Mozzie, coming up, taking out the Maestro. What I will say is that was initially very high risk because no one was with, no one was with the Ash, right? Ideally, now the Ash and the Zofia, that's what you want to see. Having that 2-entry fragger push-in kind of roll going on. That way there's an easy refrag. Now this Ash is waiting for the IQ. That's a great play. Ideally, these two should reconnect and they should be pushing site together. Okay, now they're a little separated. Now, when one was in Alpha, one was in Bravo, they're still within one room. Like, they have line of sight on each other, so it's easy to refrag. But now that they're passively separated here, they're only a soft angle between the two. This is kind of an opportunity, and you're expanding. I think it'd be far better to. I understand you're trying to pinch the Jaeger, right? You know he's on defuse. The call's been made. He's somewhere in Master, so you're watching the flank, and one's going in. But you gotta kind of make that decision. In that scenario, I think that how you play those types of scenarios, 1v2s, if you pinch and you give the defender 2 1-on-1 gunfights, that's definitely a mistake, right? At the same time, you can't allow the defender to flank you. So they're easier said than done. What do you do? What do you do? I think if you have a flank drone, you throw it out, you let someone get on the drone and make the call if he flanks. You guys push together in with the intention that one of you's probably the entry guy is going to die and the second guy is going to refrag, right? If you know exactly where he's at, you can drone him out, or you have a drone on him and you have sound cues of, okay, he's camping hardcore in this corner, then maybe you consider pinching and breaking up a little bit. That's a tough call to make real time in game, but as you guys play more as a team, that type of communication will get better. Ultimately, you guys won the round. Saw a lot of good things that round in regards to late game pushes on site. So I'm going to speed this up to kind of decrease the time. So, hey, I think I already said this, guys, but if I missed it in the entry report, I'll say it again. Hey, this is simply my perspective. So, I think I said I'm going to give you all a few shout-outs and a few critiques, but please don't take any of my critiques personally. It's just me noting my observations, ultimately trying to give you my perspective to help you become better as a player and you guys to become better as a team. So my overall, goal here is to build you up and not to point out mistakes to tear you down for things like that. I don't comment on everything I see in the game. I just comment on some key themes that you guys should be focused on as a team dynamic perspective. So there's individual questions about your own gameplay you want to ask. By all means, shoot me a DM in Discord. But really, or you can comment on this video. But really, I'm just providing kind of an overview of team dynamics and a mindset you guys should have as individuals and as a team when you're in these key transition points in game. All right, great droning. I encourage you. Your drones are getting far away from your entry fraggers. So as soon as those drones get in, entry fraggers, and they clear the room, say, hey man, this room's clear. Entry fragger, boom, take it. Don't let anyone reposition. You want to be pretty close behind those drones. And ultimately, you want to trade the drones for kills if you can, but you definitely don't want the drone to die and be wasted, and you haven't secured that real estate and they take it back, right? At that point, it's just a waste of utility. Definitely pick down here. You're trying to take out the roamers in the basement. In this scenario, this is a high risk scenario because now you got one Zofia, no drones, and at least one roamer. So the Zofia is kind of linking up with the IQ. That's really good. You guys should be talking to make this play. I like that play right there. Beautiful. Using that utility of entry fragger to take out a roamer. All right, the Zofia should be following this drone in to take out this Mozzie. All right, that was a missed opportunity. Let's go back here. All right, in this scenario, you're down 2 guys. You don't have the option now of working in pairs, right? This isn't a viable option anymore, so you're going to have to be a little higher risk. I would even say that the attackers are losing, and so because they're losing, it's okay for you to break the rules now a little bit, as long as you're being smart about it. So with this drone behind, you guys should be talking and say, hey, I'm going to go drone this out, follow my drone. And notice the Mozzie kills the drone. What's the first thing you do? Boom, he's reloading, right? If this Zofia is even just right here, here's that cube. He's got the Mozzie dead to rights. And, you should be, in this situation, as a roam clear, it's okay for you to be a little more aggressive than usual by yourself because you're already losing, right? You need to make a play. It looks like you're going to make that play anyway. Hopefully you take this Mozzie out on red stairs. Dusty about to hit him with the dust. Oh, sad day. Okay. Right. So those are some comments. I think that was the defining moment of this particular round up to that point. Now the Zofia needs to get back to support this push into Master. So right now the Zofia should be leveraging her utility to help these guys out. And the only way to really do that I can see is to come up potentially Astro stairs and then hit this, try to take the fight with impact / stuns on the Maestro. And or rotating out and come back into Master and helping these guys push. All right, so here's the deal, guys. You got the wall open, and you really can't go for a plant. It's too premature. It's premature because you don't control the cutoff, right? If you had a good angles into Astro and you could control the Astro and somebody could come in here and watch these other angles, you might have a very good shot and of controlling a significant part of Alpha. But right now, even though you have the space, you don't have the power to enforce it. I would say that one would argue you really don't control Alpha. The defenders still do, even though you have the wall open. You just have long angles on the connector, and that's unfortunate. So also, I'll say another strong position. It's not as strong as the cutoff as Astro, but 90, because you control red landing, and as you come down 90 hallway, you can fight into Bravo, and that's a great crossfire to have because from 90 you can open this wall here and see and have an angle onto this door, but also you have this long angle here that really messes the guys on Bravo, right? Makes their life very complicated. So if you coordinate a push down onto Bravo when your main team's pushing into Alpha, that works very well. This is, I think, a little less advantageous to own than Astronomy. Astronomy is way better to have because you really make their lives complicated. But that's just something to take into effect, especially if they have a ton of utility here and you just don't have the utility or the manpower to contest it. That's another alternative to make a play and win the round. All right, guys, so I'm running a little low on time. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. I got about 20 minutes left here before I have to end this video, and we got about 20 minutes of gameplay. So I'm going to try to cut as much, get to the action here, the learnable opportunities. All right, so you guys are doing defense. Hey, I'm going to re-articulate this. You want, on most defensive strats, you want a guy on Alpha, guy on Bravo, or someone controlling Alpha, someone controlling Bravo. In this case, you want them on those sites because they're internal. And number 2, you want a guy playing connector. So should be, ideally, 1 Alpha, 1 Bravo, 1 here in Vault, and then someone here on the 90, the cutoff position. This is a power position of the map. Your roamer then should be used to deny access to both classic stairs, main stairs, and then red stairs, right? You can also play roamer on this side of the map if the team historically roam clears over here, or you want the sound cues. You could deny red stairs by owning this side of the map. That's a very viable strategy, but be careful because if you're the roamer on this side, there's a lot of cutoff points. As you can see, they're roam clear. They already have an IQ in this window, so they use this IQ to completely cut off any rotates between Astro. See, they understand the value of this cutoff, right? But having someone in that window, you can't come up Astro stairs, you can't come out of bathroom, and you can't rotate between these sites. So if you were roaming in Master or over here, they almost already have you dead to rights if you didn't rotate back through statue and come back through red. So keep that in mind if you're roaming on that side. Astro is a very dangerous place to roam for that very reason. When you start hearing windows like that break, don't hesitate to use your impacts to drop a hatch or open up a wall and quickly try to get out of there. That was a very good roam clear by them, man. See, in just less than 60 seconds, they control this entire side of plant. All right, so you guys don't know this yet, but here's going to be their play. They're going to take control of the cutoff. They're going to come in and they're going to push Bravo. That's what it looks like. Once they control cutoff, maybe they'll swing into bar, but they're definitely going to take control of 90 here. Yep, they got the Capital 90 windows to help contest this. So, retreating, I think. Let me take a look at this. The Jaeger was on there and the Jaeger retreated. The Jaeger retreat when the window broke? I can't tell. Okay, so this is a losing situation. This is a tough spot to be in. At this point, with someone pushing down 90 and someone on 90 window, this is not a viable spot to play. So as a defender, you have to make the decision. Are you going to give this to them? Or are you going to go 1-for-1 and trade yourself off? I think it's okay to retreat back to site as long as you're delaying them occupying it. So the thing is you don't want to completely give it to them uncontested. All right, so they're going to open this wall up, and once they can open the wall up, they're going to control all the rotates into sight. Kind of what we talked about before. All right, notice how they played in pairs there, so they were ready for the refrag. And also, as they were pushing here, Zofia came in to make a play, and IQ came in as pairs on the top side. So let's go back and watch that. This is a key. This is a really good attack by SCC. I'm going to point out that this is something we should try to mimic. Boom. As soon as they hear that thermite wall go off, and they're having as soon as this call and this firefight hears, thermite gets off the drone, gets ready to make the refrag. IQ and Zofia push in, and notice thermite. I don't know which drone he's on. I wish I did, man. But he's either drone in for them in, is giving them the okay, or he's got here and he's giving the calls out and he's getting off to get off. But this is ideally how you want to do it. They got on the drones and they're about to breach site. Entry fraggers coming in. They're going to make some plays. They're going to refrag right here. Now, the Capital is keeping the guy in office. They got this pinch. Now they have site control of Bravo. even though they don't have diffuser, this isn't an issue because they have man advantage. So they should just converge on the smoke here pretty quick, and or plant the diffuser to force smoke out of position and win the round. All right, notice their positioning. This is an ideal crossfire position. Someone in Vault's got the rotates. Capital's also got the rotates. Capital's got this angle right here. The thermite can get off and help the Capital with this angle if it becomes a problem. So they suspect the smoke's over here, so they're playing behind the door. There you go. All right, good round by the attackers, man. SCC. But notice they didn't do anything really impressive, man. They just had good fundamentals and they stayed with it. So you guys have some great mechanical skill, is what I've seen for the last several rounds. And if we just changed our mindset and some of the fundamentals there of how we think about roam clear and pushing site, you guys would have, I think, greater success. Okay, same kind of roam clear. They're doing the same kind of strat, roam clearing this side, pushing across. This is very different than a traditional, balcony, take office, take 90. So notice how, regardless of whether you push through office or you push through here, this 90 hallway, this cutoff position is key to control. That's why it's called the cutoff. Just keep that in mind, right? Because it cuts off all the rotates. And they always take control of this, and we should be taking control of this before you push site. That is a prerequisite to pushing site. Obviously, where those rules wouldn't be, you could deviate from those rules is when it's like a 2v2 and no one's playing this, then that's a special circumstance, right? That might be one where you can break the rules a little bit and get away with it. And that's kind of a game by game sense call you have to make real time in game. But they're going to open this wall to get access to rotites. All right, so as a defender, this is what you should be thinking. When you hear this wall about to be breached, you recognize that when vault wall opens, you can't rotate. So you better get in a spot where you feel like is a strong spot and you're committed to it. And the only individual that can rotate is probably this Goyo rotating between bar and shield, right? But you're not going to rotate between sites. So you're going to pick a site and stay on it. And if you're here and study office, you're in study office, right? So the setup here isn't bad, actually, guys. It's okay. Just recognize that now that site's open, you can't rotate, so you are committed. I would like to see the Jaeger come up a little bit more to have refrag potential on the Wamai, because the Wamai's got a very hard angle on this door, helping the smoke. So, and the smoke can't refrag the Wamai, right? Wamai's in a position where he's crossfire, but he doesn't have refrag potential. So the smoke playing up on red stairs is going to kind of help with that situation, and also potentially helping refrag the Goyu if there's a long-angled gunfight here. All right, boom. Right here, this is a critical part. You guys got to be talking to each other. You say, you have control of 90. We got 90 back. What does that mean as a team? That means that these guys now have a little more freedom to rotate between sites, and you can reposition yourself in a stronger side. But also that means that you need to stick someone back here on rotate and hold it. And now when you retake a rotate like this and you got the manpower, you hold it till the death, right? Someone's committed to holding this spot now until it's gone. So that's the key here. If you retreat and give it to them, you have to have the understanding that you're going to take it back. The life that you didn't sacrifice here, you're going to sacrifice in the retake. And it looks like that's what took place in this particular round. And that's a good idea. All right, this is probably going to be a win for us. Good round, right? All comes down to that fight on the cutoff. Good job, guys. All right, you guys are on defense. Same rules apply. One in Astro, one in Alpha, one in Bravo. You want your roamer to control either 90 or deny red stairs. So You want the roamer to somehow to have influence on the red stairs landing. I don't like this reinforced double. I'll go into this at a real quick high level. This one good because it prevents the window from controlling the door. That's what you want. But this one not good because it prevents whoever's playing alpha from having a crossfire on this door. That's bad. So this one's good. This one not so good. Leave this one soft. You don't have to open it up, but just have it like wall bangable so you can support this door in the event that the smoke makes a call that they're pushing into the site, right? You can drop some rounds this way, make them have to reconsider. Also, it allows the smoke to drop rounds towards red stairs. So if you have a roamer on 90, now your smoke and your 90 roamer can kind of coordinate their gunshots on to red, right? Gets another crossfire scenario that you can use to win a round or win a gunfight. So I'm a little rushed because I got to get to work here in a few minutes. But what I will say is that overall, your reinforcement placements are pretty good. You definitely want to reinforce this wall and this wall. One in the middle of Astro's good. I like that one. I would recommend moving that one. Move it to somewhere where the roamer might need it, such as like on 90 vault wall. Help them to make sure they don't get like wall banged or Zofia through the vault wall. That happens a lot when they're pushing 90 and they've droned that person out and they may not be recognized of it. All right, good. Kind of aggressive, but I like the play. Let me go back, take a look at it. A little greater detail. All right, so they're roaming in twos. What I will say is that in this situation, when you're going to be aggressive like this as a person on site, I don't think that's a bad thing, but you got to make the call that you're going to do that. And your teammates and roamers need to understand if you go down, what that looks like from a gap in their defense and be ready to make the adjustment. So you guys kind of coordinate this push on to this hallway with the... I was going to say the Jaeger and the Valk. I wonder what the Valk's doing right now. All right, Valk's on cams. Okay, in this situation, 3v2, you guys have the man up on defense. Roamer should be coming back to site. And the reason being is, or get close to site, lurk near site. Reason being is that they shouldn't be playing the diffuser, because if they plant the diffuser, that's only one gun, because if someone's got to plant it, so it becomes a 2v1 via two guns versus one gun. And while someone's got their hand on their diffuser going down, so they're going to try to frag out. Having that third gun on site is going to give you guys, I think, the competitive advantage to win this, or close by. So this Valk is making the right play by kind of slowly lurking up. And good round, guys. All right. Just think that, keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to comment on this a little bit. I really don't like the setup for multiple reasons. I do like this. I like the castle. Great play, guys. Castling this off and reinforcing this. I see what you're trying to do here with messing this up and barbed wire, so you have these long angles via ACOGs. Just be careful. Rather than castling this door, I encourage you to castle this one. Here's the reason why. When you castle external doors, you're making a bet that they're going to have to waste utility on this and that you can control it. You know, a sledge can walk up, sledge this, and you've lost that utility for practically absolutely no retake. So on this particular door, it doesn't make sense because you can't take advantage of them trying to get it open. Where it does make sense is if you castle off the windows in bedroom on Clubhouse and you place someone's CCTV, now they have to clear CCTV before they can get the castles open, right? This is a whole different map I'm talking about. Clubhouse, bedroom windows, CCTV server room. It has that 90-degree fire across it, right? So if you're going to breach those and you deal with those castles, now all of a sudden you got to make sure your flank is good and watch the flank from anyone in CCTV swinging on you and getting some shots while you open those castle doors up. That's really hard to do here because there's no external influence that prevents them from any kind of denial or threat that you can have against that door. Moving it in one, it forces them, now they can't deal with it, right? Because they spend the time dealing with it, the wall's open, it's easy for them to get pushed and denied. So my recommendation is you're going to play this setup, move it in. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not a big fan. The reason being is that it creates a long ACOG line of sight into sight. And as defenders, unless you're playing a lot of ACOGs, you want to avoid creating long lines into sight unless you're going to use it to punish them. So not necessarily a bad play, but given who's on site right now, it's not ideal. So What I'm saying is the setup is not good because of the operators that were chosen for this site. However, given other circumstances, it could be very viable. All right, also, I'm going to comment. I like reinforcing this. I like reinforcing these walls right here, then open them up for impact trick. I like the castle and reinforcing these. I usually open up portrait, and I'd usually also recommend keeping these soft and opening these up at the very top. So when these are open at the very top, they can be played from statue. Most people don't know that. You can see this most of this room from like here over from a statue if you open the wall at the very top. So if you have a roamer that's going to play up top and deny hatches and things like that, opening that up allows that roamer to control that room, and that way, you know, by only having the door here, it really forces the attackers. They can't get close to breach these walls because of the roamer up top. It makes them deal with that roamer, right? And or gets punished for not dealing with a roamer because these are open. Just some things to take in mind, and just some cheeky angles you can use to leverage to win this site. A lot of teams also reinforce this and then we'll castle this door. I don't think that's the play. I do like reinforcing two in these and opening up a rotate here. The reason why it allows the smoke to have crossfire on this door. So when you open your rotates on site, just think about when I put this rotate, is it going to allow me an additional crossfire opportunity? And will my other anchors be able to help me have crossfire on that rotate? And the answer is yes. That's probably a good rotate. And then also, the last thing you want is, if the answer is yes, is this going to be a long side angle onto site that I could get punished if an ACOG attacker uses it to, you know, control site? And if they can do that, then you may want to reconsider. But those are the two things you should think about when you open up rotates. All right, man. Well, that's the end of the game. Hey, guys. Man, just in time. I got to get going for work. With that being said, if you have any comments, saw a lot of great things, a lot of good mechanical skill. You guys are very talented. Just the biggest opportunities are working out some small dynamics and teamwork and mindsets of how to roam clear and what the priority is when you push side in regards to controlling cutoffs. But overall, man, I do these hopefully to provide you some additional perspective, and increase your guys' skills as individual players and as a team. You guys have any comments about my comments, please share it with me. I always am trying to improve how I do these VOD videos. So if there's something that you think you'd like me to expand on more, or you think I missed, or something I can improve on, definitely welcome that those comments. And best way to do that is either DM me in Discord or comment on this in YouTube, and we'll talk about it later. But with that, guys, hope the next 2 rounds of the tournament go well, and I will talk to you soon.